Today, we're talking about frontier firepower. Guns that are so rare, parting with one would be like tearing out a chapter of the Old West. These were the tools of the trade, symbols of status, legends that shaped the frontier. Now, they're treasures that should be guarded fiercely. But which ones are too valuable to ever part with? Well, let's take a walk down memory lane and find out. Before Winchester owned the lever gun story, Smith Wesson tried to write it. In 1854 and 1855, Horace Smith and Daniel Wesson built a lever-action rifle around their experimental base-fire metallic cartridge. Their .41 caliber round placed priming compound in the base rather than a rim. Ingenious, and a way to leave the weak rocket ball behind while avoiding European patents. Manufacturing, though, killed it. Mid-1850s machinery could not turn out base-fire ammo with the precision needed for safe, repeatable ignition. This wasn't some warmed-over volcanic gun, it was a purpose-built repeater with a tubular underbarrel magazine that loaded from a pivoting section near the muzzle, promising quick follow-up shots, years before the Henry and Winchester families became famous. The lever wraps a fixed trigger guard, a quirky branch that never reappeared. It never saw a fight of its own, but its impact lives in what followed. The recipe: lever, tube magazine, metallic cartridge, flows into the Henry of 1860 and Winchester's 1866. Later rifles, and the people who tamed the frontier, benefited from groundwork that was laid here. As a collectible, it's nearly mythical gear. Fewer than 10 were even built, and only 3 are known to exist today, 1 at the Cody Firearms Museum and 2 in private hands. The highest-priced auction sample looked like a presentation piece: nickel-plated action, high-grade walnut, half-octagon barrel, tasteful engraving, the whole works. It brought $488,750. It's easy to say that if you own either of the 2 surviving prototypes, don't ever sell it. Lock and load. Hit subscribe and uncover the Old West weapons so rare and iconic you'd never let them go. Colt Model 1860 Army. The Model 1860 Army is the cap and ball revolver that defined the Union side of the Civil War. Colt built more than 200,000 between 1860 and 1873. It fired a .44 caliber ball or conical with authority, reloaded quickly with paper cartridges, and balanced like a fighting pistol should. Troopers carried them in pommel holsters, officers wore them on belts, and gun crews kept them as backup. After the war, many went west with veterans and show up in photos from mining camps to cattle trails. The base model is common by 19th century standards, but Colt also produced exhibition-grade revolvers that pushed artistry as hard as the basic gun pushed battlefield performance. Factory-engraved and cased examples with deluxe shoulder stocks were built to wow dignitaries and dealers. Glass case pieces advertising Colt's skill. Clip the stock on and the pistol steadies like a light carbine, handy for scouts or riders who wanted a more deliberate shot without slinging a long gun. Some stocks doubled as canteens, though the flashier sets favored elegance over utility. Collectors track where the best ones have lived. One star passed through the William M. Locke, Warren Anderson, and Robert M. Lee collections, names with real gravity in Colt circles. The mechanics remain pure 1860 Army: rebaited, unfluted 6-shot cylinder, creeping loading lever, round barrel, strapless frame that cuts weight without giving up strength. At Rock Island auction, that cased and stocked showpiece brought $506,000. A standard 1860 is attainable. A factory exhibition 1860 with its matched stock is almost never available, which is exactly why you keep it if you have it. New Haven Arms Iron Frame Henry. The 1860 Henry wrote the modern lever action formula. Metallic cartridge, tube magazine, and a toggle link action that could empty a magazine faster than any muzzle loader could be recharged. Chambered in .44 rimfire, the Henry wasn't about raw power so much as sustained fire. 15 rounds changed skirmishes for Civil War volunteers and wagon train guards. The rarest slice sits at the beginning. The first Henrys left New Haven Arms with blued iron receivers. Brass followed in far larger numbers. Total production hovers around 14,000, and the iron frame share is the low hundreds. They live hard: war, weather, and the trail. So clean, complete survivors with original finish are scarce in the United States. The .44 rimfire has mild recoil, and in a slow 1 in 32 twist Henry, surprising accuracy past 150 yards. The magazine follower rides in an open slot under the barrel, so dust can intrude if you're careless. Keep it clean, and it runs with the reliability that made the toggle link famous in the first place. Collectors prize the iron frame because it's the genesis of Winchester. Oliver Winchester was steering New Haven Arms when Benjamin Tyler Henry finalized the design, and the path to the 1866 and 1873 runs straight through it. In today's US market, an iron frame almost always sits in a museum or a major private vault. When serial number 49, exceptional by any measure, surfaced at auction, it sold for $603,750. Own one, and you own the bridge between experiments and the rifles that defined the West. Winchester Model 1866. Winchester's Model 1866, the Yellow Boy, took the Henry's strengths and fixed the Henry's headaches. The 44 rimfire chambering remained, but the 1866 added Nelson King's side-loading gate and a protective wooden forearm. The loading gate made topping off quick and safe, and the forearm kept hands off a hot barrel and magazine tube. The brass frame, beyond looking handsome, resisted corrosion and made the rifle instantly recognizable across the frontier. The base rifle went everywhere settlers, scouts, and lawmen worked. The rarities came from Winchester's custom shop. The company engraved and plated select 1866s as presentation pieces for heads of state, railway barons, foreign dignitaries, and business partners. Many spent decades on display and saw ceremonial handling. Very few escaped harsh polishing, damp air, or a century of owners. Finding a presentation-grade 1866 in exceptional original condition in the United States is like seeing a comet. Collectors know the handful that still show factory finish, crisp engraving, and minimal wear. And when one appears, deep pockets show up because another chance may be years away. It's Winchester's first true Winchester, wearing the factory's finest work. A nearly untouched exhibition 1866 with intricate scroll work, precious metal plating, and deluxe wood brought $977,500 at an auction. In a serious Old West collection, a Yellow Boy of this level is a centerpiece you plan displays around, not a piece you send down the road. Winchester Model 1876 1 of 1000. Winchester scaled up the lever action with the Model 1876. The famous 73 handled pistol-length cartridges. The 76 took on true rifle rounds, 45-75, 50-95 Express, and other big-bore loads that could stop large game and reach across open country. Rangers carried them on long patrols. The Canadian Northwest Mounted Police also adopted them. Hunters who wanted a repeating rifle with a real punch saved for them. Inside that model sits one of the most coveted factory programs any maker ever ran. The 1 of 1000 idea was straightforward. Take the best barrels off the line, prove their precision, and build them into deluxe rifles with special markings and extra finish. Only 55 Model 1876 rifles earned the inscription, and survival hasn't been kind. Most lived outdoors in scabbards and cabins. Many were refinished or repaired. A crisp original deluxe is about as scarce as it gets. The odds of finding a sharp 1876 1 of 1000 are slim. When a deluxe example with high polished blue, fine checkering, and that barrel inscription crossed an auction stage, it realized $891,250. No celebrity story was needed. Collectors paid for rarity, condition, and the best barrel program on a model that already earned its keep on the frontier. Still riding with us? Saddle up and hit that subscribe button to keep the legend of these Old West treasures alive. Colt Patterson Samuel. Colt's first successful revolver, the Patterson of 1836 to 1842, set the pattern for everything that followed. Early pocket versions introduced the single-action cylinder to a world still fumbling with single-shot pistols. The design matured into the No. 5 holster model, the Texas Patterson, in .36 caliber with a 5-shot cylinder and a 9-inch barrel. The folding trigger that appears when the hammer is cocked gives the pistol its clean lines. This was a fighting gun for a rider, not a parlor toy. Usage in the Old West starts with the Republic of Texas. Its Navy bought 180. Texas Rangers under Captain Jack Hayes carried them against Comanche horsemen. 2 holstered Pattersons put 10 shots into a fight before reloading. An advantage that changed mounted skirmishes where seconds mattered. Handled right, it kept running and gave its owner an edge. Production across all Patterson variants hovers around 3,000, with about 1,000 number 5s. Far fewer survived saddle life and rough storage. Accessories often disappeared, which is why complete cased sets stopped collectors in their tracks. In 2011, the finest known Texas Patterson, serial number 515, appeared with every original accoutrement. Rare brass charger that loads all 5 chambers at once, spare cylinder, tools, cap dispenser, powder flask, and fitted mahogany case. Heritage Auctions sold the set for $977,500. Today, a true Texas Patterson with its original outfit is so scarce that advanced collectors wait years between opportunities. If one lands in your safe, you don't let it wander. Winchester Model 1886. John Moses Browning's Model 1886 brought real muscle to the Winchester line. The locking arrangement allowed cartridges like the 4570 Government and other heavy hitters, which made the rifle a favorite for hunters chasing big North American game. Ranchers liked it for the reach across open pastures. Territorial lawmen liked it because it carried more authority than pistol caliber levers without giving up speed. Serial number 1 lives on its own tier. Winchester presented it to Captain Henry Ware Lawton, a Medal of Honor recipient from the Civil War, who later, with Captain Charles Gatewood, pursued Geronimo's band of Chiricahua Apaches until the famed leader surrendered. Lawton's friend and fellow Medal of Honor man, Lieutenant George E. Albee, worked for Winchester and made sure that the very first sporting rifle produced, stamped with that single digit, went to Lawton. Presentation-grade wood and superb finish complete the package. There is no Model 1886 with a lower serial number. Combine that fact with the condition and the Lawton-Albee-Geronimo connection, and you got a rifle that hits every collecting nerve. The base 1886 is a classic. This one is just the first of the classics. As a US object, it's effectively unique and sits near the top of anything tied to the frontier era. When Rock Island Auction sold the Lawton rifle, bidding ran hot until the hammer stopped at $1.26 million. That number reflects a razor-clean intersection of Browning engineering, frontier history, and the unbeatable serial number. Colt Model 1847 Walker. The Colt Walker was the most powerful handgun of its time. In 1846, Samuel Colt and Texas Ranger Captain Samuel Hamilton Walker designed a revolver to outmatch the single-shot Model 1842 pistol. The result was a 6-shot 44 with a 9-inch barrel and a 60-grain powder charge per chamber, weighing about 4.5 pounds. Nothing else of its day matched its reach or authority. The US mounted rifles carried Walkers in the Mexican-American War as primary arms when a carbine wasn't handy. Period accounts credit accurate fire to 100 yards and impact like a .54 caliber Mississippi rifle. Surgeon John Rip Ford told of the revolver dropping enemies at distances other sidearms couldn't touch, but power had a price. The metallurgy of that era and heavy powder charges resulted in split cylinders, and the loading lever had a habit of dropping under recoil, so troopers lashed it with rawhide. Still, they put up with the quirks because nothing else could match its horse-stopping punch from saddle or on foot. The Walker put Colt back on the map and paved the way for the Dragoon series. Today, surviving examples are scarce, and scarcity is what drives their value. Colt had Eli Whitney's factory produce 1,000 for the military and about 100 for civilians, but frontier life was hard on guns. Civilian models that remain intact are rare, and a fully cased example stands in a class of its own. In April of 2018, Rock Island Auction sold the only known civilian Walker still in its original case for $1.84 million, the highest price ever paid for a single firearm. If you have one, you're holding on to the raw horsepower of the Old West, something you never let go. And that wraps up our list of 8 ancient weapons so rare that they're part of American history itself. If one of these sits in your safe, you're holding more than a gun. You're holding the West. Drop your own once-in-a-lifetime finds in the comments down below, share this with your fellow collectors, and subscribe for more tales of legendary iron.